What? Did you sleep on 420? We slept on 420. Some releases got in late. We've got to talk about it on tonight's Vinyl Happy Hour. Sorry, that was Jared's idea. I had to sleep at the beginning of the video, so I did it, okay? What's up, guys? I am Skyler from CultureShockShop.com, owner of Culture Shock Clothing and Records here in Rockford, Illinois. I almost considered doing a second video to talk to you about some of the special limited releases and interesting things coming out on vinyl this week, but we are just gonna mix and mash it all together in one video. Obviously, I was sleeping on 420 because we're gonna be talking about sleep a little bit in the 420 mystery record that came out from Third Man Records. We're also having a Pantera party. There is some color vinyl releases of the classic albums of the Southern groove metal, heavy metal band Pantera, and then there are some indie store exclusives. One we actually got on time, so I'm really excited about that. But there's a few other sleepers that slept on their release date, or the pressing plants couldn't get enough to us in time. We've got some other really great special color vinyl indie store exclusive records only available at your independent record stores. And those are the types of records we especially like to feature and talk about for our weekly Vinyl Happy Hour video chats we have with you on YouTube. So I hope you've subscribed to this channel. You like what we're doing, hit the like button, and physically and actually like what we're doing. And also shoot out some comments. We'd love to hear more from you guys too about what you're digging about the videos or what you're liking on the records. To celebrate some Pantera too, I got some Wild Turkey bourbon tonight, a great, very low price, but very good Kentucky bourbon. Wild Turkey is a tasty one. We've got some other, like a couple little giveaway things too we're going to be talking about here soon. But before I get into some of the other things, let's get right into the first one, Sweep into Space from Dinosaur Jr. And this is their new album, indie store exclusive. It's kind of this slightly marbly, little blue and greenies mixed in the purple vinyl. It's a really cool color vinyl. I like the release, and I also really like the album. These guys, Jay Mascis, of course, had done a lot of solo projects over the years. Dinosaur Jr. goes way back into the 80s, though. And this is kind of part of their second generation. They kind of had a rebirth and got back together quite a few years ago. I think this is the 5th album now that they've put out under this second half of their career. And I'm going to go ahead and just say right now, this album is the jangle grunge pop of the summer because it's got a really cool, smooth sound, a little grungy, but a little sweet, and just great guitars. And the guitars have this really kind of strange distortion, but there's also a clean sound to them. It's not really heavy, sludgy, grungy at all. And the vocals also just really kind of just sweet, easy to understand, easy to enjoy. Kind of a poppy grunge album in a way. So Kurt Vile's on here too, doing a few songs with Jay Mascis. So it's different than his solo stuff. Definitely cool to see him getting back together with the original Dinosaur Jr. lineup, doing a few albums with those guys. So it's a great step in the right direction. Really cool artwork. I've always loved the Dinosaur Jr. artwork. What's really odd about that band is I really didn't know much about them in the 90s. I somehow kind of missed them. They were a little heavier and a little more popular in the 80s and early 90s. By the time I got into stuff, I got into more Weezer and stuff like that, which we'll definitely be talking about in a little bit. But I just want to show this off from Jaguar album, record label, I mean. Very cool release and very cool color vinyl. Great sounding album. So there's that. Let's just jump into the 420 stuff. That's the stuff we kind of slept on, like I said. This is one of my favorite doom metal bands, Sleep, and they are all about the weedage, of course. They're a very 420 heavy band. Every song seems to be very stoner rock about the weed, but we're actually, 420 release came out from Third Man Records. This was a mystery release, so we didn't even know what we were ordering or what was getting released. So they actually reissued the Clarity. It's a one song, I mean, we can call it an EP though, because it is like almost 10 minutes long. But we actually got the 12-inch of that. And then there is new artwork. Hopefully Lauren can tell me if I'm angling in the light right. You can see the really cool etching from their artist on the side. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Let's see if I can get the art name. Dang it. I gotta start writing these down. That's the other thing about my videos. I usually have 0 notes, just roll with it. But anyway, the artist of them also makes great shirts, tour posters, merch. Obviously their artwork is sick. Now this is a double 12-inch. This was the other mystery release. So you're getting both the Clarity song and Leagues Beneath. So even though it's just 2 songs, this is like 27 minutes long. And they had both been released before, but just more in plain sleeves. There's new etching and new artwork on the vinyl itself. But the artwork of this one comes in a really cool gatefold, like an LP jacket. So you've got both sleep singles. The A sides are both songs on both records. And then the B sides are new etchings. So I'm going to pop out the Leagues Beneath one too. We should take a quick look at the etching on that one. Yes, this is the one. So you have really cool artwork that goes with this. They had some very kind of desert and space themed ones. This one is kind of like them working underwater, very oceanic, very dark and deep in the ocean. So really cool. Third Man Records, Jack White's record label, of course. Most people know it as that. Had made this announcement, and they also did a 420 mystery release 3 years ago in 2018. And that was a sleep album, too. That was their Sciences album, their first kind of album to come out in many, many years. Classic stoner doom rock bands. These are also, everything we're going to talk about tonight is actually not sold out yet. We just got them in, and they are up on cultureshockshop.com. You can choose shipping, or we will hold them in store if you want to do in-store pickup if you're local. Let's just read the words off of the, even though it's just a 12-inch jacket sleeve, at least there is the artwork of the band's logo. And on the back it says, "The dealer is my refuge. I'll make life complete." So very about the weedage there, very appropriate band to have a 420 release. Plus it's Earth Day and stuff, that all just kind of flows together. So 2 different releases available from Third Man Records. Check those out. And now let's talk about some Pantera, because this was really odd too, because a lot of these, 90s albums and stuff have been really tough to find on vinyl. And I was kind of digging back because I didn't have any of these on original release. And just through, internet searching and checking out some of my releases, I don't think any of these had ever gotten released in the US when they first came out. So that made me think, like, were they ever vinyl mastered in the first place? And they were, because they got European releases. But each of these 5 albums is going to be, of course I didn't turn it up. So each of these albums is going to be on different colored vinyl. So they've got, oh, this is white and whiskey brown marbled vinyl for their first album. Well, there's a complicated history there. This is their first official release or whatever. They actually did some kind of more hair metal releases that they don't talk about. They don't consider those things. That was all privately released. But this is their first one that most people know them as. Someday I'll do a little deeper history on Pantera and talk about their hair metal era that they don't talk about with anyone. Let's get a little whiskey for the whiskey brown vinyl. This is actually still not the reason I'm drinking some Wild Turkey tonight. We're going to talk about that in a second. Vulgar Display of Power, of course, also not turned out. I noticed some do and some don't have inner sleeves, because that's kind of interesting because we hadn't seen that. This one I really like the kind of white and gray marble effect. The color vinyl on here, and even the vinyl, looks different. It looks vintage. This doesn't look like a brand new release. It's got a very old Atco record label, which I recognize as really late, Iron Butterfly reissues and stuff like that, older bands. And let's face it, Pantera, they were an older band. They started in the 80s, so very changing of sounds, though. They really brought that. Here, since 420 week, let's check out, you got Dimebag Darrell's hat there with the pot leaves on it and stuff. So they're very about, the mosh pit and the thrash and the metal. And they really kind of changed that sound, getting away from radio-friendly hair rock and hair metal, which turned into ballads. These guys were really against that. But sometimes it almost went too far in a way where you're like, are they just playing to the stereotype of being from Texas and being tough and being metal? It's hard to tell. Where did it stop and where did it start? Plus, Phil Anselmo, the singer, would almost be preachy about things, even in the music and at his shows. And I was at a point where how hard is this band? How do they really think? But the color vinyl is even very different looking than most newer bands and most bands that are putting out color vinyl. It's very milky, very solid, but not a lot of marbling, not a lot of color. This one actually hadn't gotten reissued recently. This is Far Beyond Driven. And Rhino Records randomly did a few of these albums on a double 12-inch release on black vinyl. And then we're getting all of these on color vinyl. So it's really interesting to see. I don't know the quantities being made on this, and this is why I like to do these videos and update you as to what's available. Because there was some like internet store just recently that actually issued these exclusively through their website. I'm not even going to mention who or what it is, but it's the exact same jacket, same vinyl, even same barcode number. Everything's the same, and I noticed that people were flipping these for like, no joke, like $150 to like $300 a piece. And it's the exact same thing. The only difference is they have a little obi strip, we call it, the little paper strip that goes around here that they made, and those are numbered. But it's the same press, same wax, same release, same jacket, everything else the same. You know, and these are only like $28 or something. So very interesting to see that these did come out. They're not indie store exclusives, but it's cool that they are making them available, and they're all, each one, different color vinyl. We'll just show them all off. I should have been reading. This is white and sandblasted orange, so we're not just going white and orange. This is sandblasted orange. So as you can see, it's sandblasted orange. That's the big difference. So very different color vinyl, very cool releases, and actually good sound. All of these are single LPs, which is strange that they did Rhino did the double 12-inch, but they do fit, and they're all released originally on vinyl, just not in the US. So they are nice, very thin jackets. So if you're concerned about real estate on the racks, maybe these are the way to go. Plus, Far Beyond Driven and Reinventing the Steel didn't get that double 12-inch release at all. It's just the other three I noticed. So anyway, we're down to the last, kind of towards the end of the band now, when they did Reinventing the Steel, and this one is white and Southern Flames yellow marbled vinyl. All about the Southern Flames. Okay, so as you can see, it's really light, very light yellow. Yeah, goddamn electric. I didn't realize, like, I've heard this many a time. Until I was actually reading this just today and listening to it, I didn't realize that Kerry King from Slayer was the one playing the extra guitar on here. That's the other thing about Pantera, is they were just a classic lineup, 4-piece band, guitar, drums, bass, vocals. And they really did change the sound and influence a ton of bands. They had that mixture of groove, metal, hardcore, everything else, and a lot of soloing and stuff like that too. And a lot of mosh pits, I remember too, and they played Ozfest and stuff like that. So pretty interesting. The other thing too that's interesting is they obviously were Black Sabbath fans. We're talking about Sleep. They're one of the big worshipers of Black Sabbath, one of my favorite bands. Even on this album, you've got Planet Caravan, Black Sabbath cover song. They talk about, I forgot which album it is. Maybe it's the song on here, Yesterday Don't Me. Anyway, they talk about the religion being whiskey, weed, and Black Sabbath or something like that. So they obviously were big fans of that too. Anyway, there's a lot more we could say, but hey, also made in France. So, oh geez, that's right. Why am I drinking some wild turkey? Well, I also just found out, thanks to fun pictures and things on the internet, this is some ridiculous photo at, I guess, Phil, the singer, was having a house party, and some crazy-ass dude in his boxers jumping through fire with a bottle of drinking out of the bottle, wild turkey bourbon, straight out of the bottle, but it's all blurred. It's like one of the... I didn't also mention, some of these album covers are some of the worst album covers ever. But I almost have gotten to really enjoy that. You see all pixeled out. They didn't want to show wild turkey for some reason, or legal reasons. Maybe by this time they were making enough money that they didn't want the wild turkey to sue them or something, or insinuate that if you drink a whole bottle, you should never do that, by the way. Maybe you're going to go jump through flames and fire, and that's not a thing to do. So I thought it was kind of funny that that's what's being blurred out in the photo. Hopefully you can see that. It's also just a horrible album cover. I suppose we could just kind of talk about how these album covers in general are just kind of horrible. Even though the music's really good, there was actually an original version of this. I don't want to get too graphic, but let's just say it's in a very H.R. Geiger style, like a drill penetrating the rear of someone's body part. That's all I'll say. That was banned or not sold by a lot of stores, so they came up with this artwork. This fist face getting punched thing, also just not very good artwork. And the guys aren't really present on any of the album covers outside of the first one here, which is just them in like some old-timey Western bar or something. So yeah, it's just to say, but to me it's almost so old now that it reminds me of like early thrash metal bands or punk bands that, you know, when they're in their teens and 20s, they have these really just horrible album covers. They don't look very good. This came out on a pretty big label though. You would think the artwork would have been better. But I think it's fitting for the time and fitting for them starting kind of a new sound in metal, or this at the time we didn't know what to call it. You know, at the time there's only like hair metal or radio rock or whatever, they're in punk, of course, but I think people would start calling it mosh metal, groove metal. You know, it wasn't being called new metal yet. There was no new metal. These guys were very not about the new metal when it started coming out. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting to see. And all of these, like I said, are nice single LPs. So if you don't want the space, go with this version. Plus, it's on color vinyl. We do have 3 of these on big, thick, heavy gatefold black vinyl, double LPs if you prefer. So I just wanted to show those off. Let's see, what are we going to talk about next? Those are also all at cultureshockshop.com right now. Let's go talk about some Weezer for a minute, because this actually came out a few months ago. It's actually one of my favorite albums of the last few that they've done. OK Human dropped right mid-pandemic. Also, there was a lot of pressing backups and stuff like that. So we were only able to we didn't have any in the store for sale on its release date because they had only made enough for our pre-orders. Speaking of which, if you want to pre-order any upcoming release right now or go and look and see what is coming out over the next few months, go do so. I've got the link in the description to this video. But right now we were lucky enough to they fulfilled the batch of the indie store exclusive. This is called Control Room Splatter. It kind of goes with the album cover and them being in the control room. So it's kind of got this Skittles splattered out from the center, clear vinyl with these multicolors. This album, you know, I feel like I'm always saying, is this a blue album or is this a Pinkerton album? Since I started at the beginning of Weezer. People who didn't start at the beginning probably just like this for the pop album. It is, but they do incorporate some strings and other arrangements into this music that is a little different than just their more, you know, electric rock pop sound. There's definitely a cool variety of things going on, and maybe even a little bit of a Beach Boys and other influences. It's a cool album. Definitely had fit with the pandemic. They were going to do a more rocking album, which is now up for pre-order. I'm drawing a blank. I'm just going to say Van Weezer or something is the next album that we're going to be seeing from these guys. But I do have a few copies that did come in finally a couple months late of the indie store exclusive. So we're calling this, you know, I was sleeping at the beginning of the video or whatever. This is some stuff that, you know, maybe you slept on or didn't even realize came out, or you need to get the indie store version of it. These guys are late to the party. We're having a Pantera party. That stuff came out. The Dinosaur Jr. came out on time, so maybe Plastic Plants are catching up finally. Puscifer, that is another one that was running a little bit late. So, I'm trying to blank. What is this one called? This is such a good album, too. Is this 4th, 5th album from them? Maynard James Keenan finally has got his thing back with music. We hadn't heard from him really in years, and finally, just in the last couple years, we got a Tool album, we got a Perfect Circle album, and now even Puscifer. Completely different than Tool. If you're familiar with that, this is not the prog rocking, metal-ish feel that you're going to get from them. This is much more electronic-based, almost gothy synth, new wave-based. It's still very dark, though. It's a really good music, though, but it's really enjoyable, and the recording quality and the sound quality is just spot on. I love this album. This was also an indie store exclusive. They did this, it's a double LP, so it's a really long album too. There's a lot of music on it. It's not a shorty. They even did this cassette on clear cassette. But I really love this album. This has actually become one of my favorite albums of the year so far. I'm really enjoying it. We do have some copies of this now also, which we didn't have any up on its release because there was only enough getting pressed just for the immediate pre-orders. There's so many other records that the pressing plants and labels were trying to get caught up with because of this kind of worldwide demand that popped up. Huh? Oh God, that's a great idea. Oh, Existential Reckoning. Thank you. I know that. I forgot to say that that's what it's called. But let's take a look, since I've got an open copy here so you can see the artwork. I love the artwork. Very kind of mystic looking. Some existential reckoning going on here when you look into it. There's a lot of questions about what people are doing, what we're doing in their lives, and there's almost kind of a dark, humorous side to this band. So I really love the lyrics, I love the music, honestly. I'm really about the music, and it's so cool to see how different from Tool and from Perfect Circle, even though you've got Maynard in all of those groups, how different he is. This is like more of a 3-person group too, so these people are not involved in the other products. You also have Matt Mitchell and Karina Round. And I know that they have worked in other projects and stuff too. Wow, this album's super good though. I think it's my favorite Puscifer album ever, honestly. I still regret not seeing when they were here in Rockford playing. Why didn't I go? I was like a weeknight, I had something else going on. Stupid. So, when live music returns, don't miss out on some bands. I only have one left to talk about. This is also on our website and in store. This release actually started streaming and taking pre-orders all the way back to Christmas. What is it? April 22nd now? Wow, we are finally getting Fleet Fox's Shore. We even got a coffee mug, Fleet Fox's Shore. So, there's some freebies that are coming with this album. This is an indie store exclusive. Let's see what's in the bag. Me and Lauren were just listening to it. So, clear vinyl also. That's the indie store variant. This is the second record. Let's just show, I haven't seen this too. We're talking about etchings on the other one. Can you see these floral patterns etched around the D side of the album? It's super cool. Looks cool when it's spinning because it's clear. You can see through and see that. I'm just gonna pop this up here for now. Let's check out the artwork for sure. Really nice, thick gatefold jacket. Great album. This is another cool, dreamy, folky indie album for the summer. Very chill. Oh, it's Earth Day. This kind of gives me an earthy feel. I forgot to show off the inside of some of these, but these are really nice, thick gatefolds. This album's really good. It's been actually quite a few years since we've heard from Fleet Foxes too. As soon as this album started streaming, I had a lot of people asking about it, and we weren't only able to get enough vinyl to handle the immediate pre-orders. Now, some years, that's all we get. When we sell out of the special indie store exclusive, usually that's it. Luckily with this one, they did make some more available because of the shortage going on. This poster also, I feel like could have been about half the size, but it's really cool that it comes with this nice big square Shore poster. But they're giving you a lot of freebies, a lot of extras with this album, because I also got in some flats, some promo flats, some perfect for record frames as well. You got Fleet Fox's double-side Shore. So this is cool just to hang out. We're going to be giving these away with the albums, the indie store exclusive. Here's another version of some artwork too. And these also fit nice in record frames, so I really like when you do get some free either flats or lithographed posters. Record Shore Day is kind of tongue-in-cheek from Record Store Day, is a hashtag that they're using on this album. So if you got an album from us and want to share it, or send us a picture on your social media, please tag Culture Shock, or find us and link our page plus hashtag Record Shore Day for the new Fleet Foxes Shore album. Just a really great mellow jam. These guys also, being this newer indie rock revival of this modern generation, definitely give me that nice 60s throwback feel though to a lot of those older bands that we like, classic albums of like Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young and the Byrds, some of that kind of stuff for sure. Really smooth, kind of got that Southern California 60s vibe to them. It's a great album though. So come in and tag us when you pick up a purchase, or online, even if you purchase and we ship to you. Somebody's gonna get a coffee mug though, and I'm gonna get a little more bourbon. Well guys, I did it. I squeezed it all in for Vinyl Happy Hour, our late indie store exclusives, the Pantera Party and the 420 Sleep releases from Third Man. Those were a mystery release. Nobody knew. The leak didn't come out until 420. But what's funny is we didn't get them until the day after and 2 days after 420. So in true stoner fashion, they did show up a little bit late, but we've got them now. So I hope you enjoy our video, and hopefully you can check out some of the releases coming up and some of the releases we have available for sale right now at cultureshockshop.com. And we are getting plans underway for Record Store Day already coming up in June and July. So we will see you next week for another new Vinyl Happy Hour video. Cheers.